Hi, Intro to Psychology learners. I hope you're having a good week. This week we're talking about Module 4. So if you haven't already, you're going to Learning Modules and clicking on Module 4. And you can read the introduction if you want to. Here's the link to your book, of course. And I think we should just jump right into it. I think I'll do the project first, and then I'll go back and I'll say the discussion, because maybe you already know what to do for the discussion. So definitely read the guidelines and rubric, because this is telling you what to do and how you're going to be graded. This is useful for how to write a thesis, this paper guide here. So I just want to say what you were doing. So remember that your thesis statement, you just want to clearly say whether you're using nature or nurture. That's what you're doing here. So see how it says that you're creating a clear thesis statement that takes a position on whether nature or nurture has more impact on human behavior. So just make sure that you specifically say that. Either I believe nature has more of an impact on human behavior, or I believe nurture has more of an impact on human behavior. That's perfect. And ideally, your thesis statement would either be your first statement or your first sentence or your last sentence in the first paragraph of your paper. And then you can see that you want to talk about both nature and nurture and how they impact human behavior in this second paragraph. The first one is your thesis statement, paragraph. Your second paragraph is about nature or nurture, and that's what it says right here. Your introductory paragraph with your thesis, and then you have a body paragraph explaining the influence of nature and nurture. And for this, in order to get this exemplary, you want to be including information from the book or from the graphic organizer to support what you're saying. So if you go into our book, you can see that if you go into contents, we're in Module 4, so we're talking about Chapter 4 here. So if you click on Chapter 4, if you just want to go down to our Project 1, you can see it's here, and then it's talking about what to do. And this is using that graphic organizer again. So it might be helpful to go back to that. So it's talking about what to do for this. And then what sources do I cite? See how it says you could go back to the nature and nurture page, and it gives you that here. It also says you could use the graphic organizer. So let's click on the nature and nurture page, and you can see that it's talking about nature and nurture here. It's talking about the different perspectives here. And where did I just open it here? And then, sorry, I don't know where I just opened that. Sorry about that. Oh, I opened it here. Sorry about that. So here's our graphic organizer. And if you didn't know where it was, don't forget that you can go back in, and your graphic organizer was here in Chapter 2. Or you could click on that page, and here's the graphic organizer. And remember that, so you're citing information either from the book or from this graphic organizer. Like here's Honeycutt, or here's another Honeycutt and another one. Here's Freud, here's Garvey. So you are doing your nature or nurture. You're talking about this body paragraph where you're explaining the influence of both nature and nurture and how they impact human behavior, and you're using something from the book, either from that graphic organizer or from the reading to support what you're saying. And I say that because look down here, 5% of your grade is using citations. So just make sure that you're including something from the book or from that graphic organizer. And then for your next body paragraph, that's about the 7 perspectives. Explain how at least one of the 7 perspectives supports your argument. And for that, it's telling you to go back to this page and see how it has all of the perspectives there. So you're talking about one of these perspectives: neuroscience, evolutionary, behavior genetics, cognitive, psychodynamic, behavioral, or social cultural, and it gives you explanations of all of them. And you're using that specifically to talk about nature or nurture. And remember that you really do want to include citations, so you want to either be including information from the book that you read that supports that, or information from that graphic organizer to support your ideas. So first you're talking about how both nature and nurture have an impact, and then you're coming down on one side or the other using one of the 7 perspectives. And then just make sure in your conclusion paragraph that you summarize it again. So it's like you're telling them what you're going to tell them, then you're telling them, and then you're telling them what you just told them. That's what you're doing. You're just summarizing it again. So again, you want to end with that thesis statement. Ideally, it would be the last sentence in your last paragraph. All right, and now if we go back into the module, the other one is our discussion. So no matter what discussion we have and no matter what the topic is, just keep in mind that the rubric's always the same. So looking at this rubric, you can see that you have to, for contributions to the learning community, you have to support what you're saying with credible resources. Even if you just want to get a proficient, you have to do that, supported by credible resources. And for our purposes, the text is our credible resource. So in order to cite the text, you go in here, you can use tools, and you can use the citation guide here. And then you want to make sure that you're including relevance to at least 2 of the programmatic themes. And I say that because see how it says elaborates on 1 or more of the themes, but for exemplary, you have to have multiple themes in your post. If you really just want to nail it, I mean, I would just say I would use the word programmatic themes, just so that as the grader, I'm not looking around for, oh, where did they talk about the programmatic themes? If you say these 2 programmatic themes relate to this topic, then it's just crystal clear, we're all on the same page. And then for advancement of discussion, again, it's saying that you're integrating views from other learners and sources. You have to do that in order to get a proficient. And for these, it doesn't say that it has to be credible. So this can just be any other learners or sources. So it can be anything from the internet. I personally just find it easier, since you already read the book, to just use the book again. But I mean, you can use anything, any internet source, or even your fellow people's sources, as long as it's a different person that you're relating. And then for professional communication, here's where we have to use proper APA citation. And you can even see proper APA citation is here for needs improvement. You got to use that APA citation. So just make sure that when you're using information from the book, that you cite it by saying in parentheses at the end of the sentence, Harper, 2024. And ideally, you would put the full reference, which you can find in your book by clicking on Tools, and then on Citation Guide, you can find the full reference, and you would ideally put that at the end of your post. And then, of course, submit by Thursday. All right, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a good week.